if he was with someone that night and knew he had passed away and just left with his phone and left him there in his car. I don't know. Just makes me really angry. My name is Leah. This is something that I wanted to talk about for a while now, but just haven't really had the willingness to do so. I wanted to talk about what was going on the days prior to my boyfriend Lucas passing. For those of you who don't know, my boyfriend Lucas died last year on October 27th, 2023, in the middle of the night. I still, 3 months later, just feel like there was something I could have done to change this. So for about a few months before his passing, he had been talking about always having these heart issues, or there was something wrong with his thyroid, and he was just very convinced that there was something medically wrong with him, and he was very concerned about his health. And he spent a lot of time in and out of urgent cares, emergency visits, going to see different doctors to try and figure out what was wrong with him. And I wanted him to find these answers so he could get better. And I think that this feeling of thinking that there's something seriously wrong was affecting him in a lot of different ways, to the point where he was wanting to use. There were many times where he would send me text messages saying, you know, I need to go to the hospital, I might be having a heart attack, or it feels like I'm having a stroke, and kind of listing all these different symptoms that he was having. And I always tried to reassure him that, you know, everything's gonna be fine. If you need to go to the doctor, like, I'm here, I'll bring you there, I'll pick you up, whatever you need me to do to help you get through this. And he would just say things like, you know, I think that there's something seriously wrong with me. To this day, I still don't know if there was something medically wrong with Lucas, or if he had some sort of underlying condition that he didn't know about. And these doctors that he was seeing just couldn't figure out. That's something that I don't know. Towards the end of Lucas's life, he had gotten a heart rate monitor to monitor his heart, because he thought, you know, there was something wrong with his heart. There were times where I had suspicions that Lucas may have been using, and also considering that the place that he was at, his sober house or sober living, was not a very good place to be. The place that he was at, I just feel like was a very toxic environment. It seemed great and all in the beginning. You know, he was able to work and have overnights and only had to attend group for about 4 hours a day. So there was a lot of time to, you know, get things done during the day. And I think for Lucas's case, that was not the right environment for him to be in. As much as I thought him being in a sober living would help him continue his sobriety, it's a sad reality that sometimes those places can even be more toxic and lead to a higher rate of a relapse because of people that are at these places that are using and aren't there for the right reason. And I do know that a lot of people that were living at this place that Lucas was staying at were using. You know, there were times where I'd ask him if he was using, and he pretty much denied it every time I asked. And I wanted to believe him so badly. So I tried my hardest to just believe him and trust him. And there were times where I definitely could tell that something was off, and he would never admit that he was using. But one day in particular, which was on October 25th, 2 days before he passed away, he was working up at the gas station. He wasn't answering my texts. We had always texted each other while he was working, and he would always respond. And for some reason he wasn't responding, so I kind of got a little worried and I called up to the store. He answered the phone, and I could just tell in his voice that he had taken something. What he took, I don't know. He could barely talk on the phone, and I was very upset. So when I heard him talking like that, I was like, what's going on? Like, what did you do? You can be honest with me. I just want you to tell the truth. And he denied that he did anything. I went up to the store just to check on him. I get there and he's just kind of like nodding out, and I just immediately can tell that something is not right. This was right around the time when he got his new car, and I was like, Lucas, you can't drive. Like, you're gonna get in trouble. You're gonna get pulled over. Something bad is gonna happen. I'll wait for you to get off your shift and let me drive you home. So I wait there with him. I drive him home to his sober house. We kind of get into a little argument because I was just upset that he wouldn't tell me what was actually going on. I just hated how that last conversation went, and it still like hurts to this day, like thinking about it. I just wish that I would have been more supportive rather than be upset with him. He was going through a hard time. I just wish I could have told him that everything was going to be fine and that he was going to be okay. After that, I went home. I had to work in the morning at 6 a.m., so I went to bed. I went to work the next day. So this is October 26th now, the day before he passed. I'm at work. I go through my day. I have a work meeting after work, so I was there till 3:30. I text Lucas during my work meeting, and he's not responding. I call him after work, he doesn't respond, and we shared our location with each other on Snapchat. And I saw his location in Minneapolis. It was payday, and he had been sending me some really alarming text messages the day prior that I really wish that I would have thought more about, because he just randomly said, like, if I die, you can have my paycheck. The password to my phone is this, and you can have all my money and my Bitcoin and all these things. And just saying that he feels no emotion, he has nothing, and he had nothing to live for. And just like looking back on those conversations, like I really wish that I would have done something different, because he was going through a hard time, and I wish I would have just been like, you know what, come stay with me. Don't get out of that sober house, because clearly that's not helping you stay sober. If anything, it's making it worse by surrounding yourself with people who are using. Back to the story, he's in Minneapolis, and I'm getting no response. I'm getting frustrated at this point. Like, why aren't you answering? What's going on? You're in the cities with your car, you don't have a license. The only reason you go to the cities is to buy drugs. And I knew exactly what he was doing. He finally did answer and just basically said he didn't want to talk to me, really. I was upset, I was angry why he was doing this. I was confused. The worst part about it is that I could do nothing about it to change what was about to happen. So I'm doing this dog sitting thing. I go and watch the dogs. I come home. I sit on the phone with him for about an hour. I can tell he had just used. He was slurring his words in and out of the conversation. I'm not making any sense. He wouldn't tell me really where he was. At one point he told me he was at a grocery store and that he had bought me all these Asian candies and like Asian little sodas, and that he was going to bring them home to me when he got back that night. I was still upset at this point, and he hung up the phone, and that was the last time I talked to him over the phone or heard his voice. He ended up blocking me, so I couldn't call him, but for some reason I could still text him. I was just like, please just come home, and I just want you to be safe. I want you to be home. I want to make sure that everything's okay. He had said, I'll be home soon. And I said, how far away are you? And he said 20 to 25 minutes. And this was at 8:30 at night. So, I'm laying in bed trying to go to bed, and hours passed by, hadn't heard from him. I texted him a bunch and get no response, and I eventually gave up and went to bed. The next morning I woke up and got the worst phone call from my dad saying that Lucas had passed, and my whole world was just torn apart. And I miss him. I really miss him. Life has been nothing but a struggle since he's been gone. There's so many things that I still wish that I could have done differently or said differently, or I don't know. The thing that really still gets to me is that when they found him, his phone was gone. Where is his phone? Who has his phone? Why did they take his phone? And I still have so many questions. Just don't add up. Just don't get how someone, if there was someone with him that night, which I don't know if there was or not, but I just don't know how someone can just leave someone like that. Like, if he was with someone that night and they knew he had passed away and just left with his phone and left him there in his car, like, I don't know. Just, it makes me really angry. And I know I probably won't ever get the answers that I want, and that's okay. But the whole thing is just such a mystery of what truly happened that night after the last time that I talked to him. Because within 4 hours, 8 o'clock till he had passed, 12:30 in the morning on October 27th, what happened within that time, I'll never know. We'll never know. I guess my advice to anyone who is in a relationship with someone who is actively using is to just have patience and be kind to each other and be there for support. Just try to find ways to approach the situation. It's not going to do more damage than good. And just hope that no one has to go through this. And it's just terrible that I know that so many people are going through what I'm going through with this whole epidemic of fentanyl overdose or whatever it is these days. I don't even know. I just hope that everyone can stay safe and stay sober, and please reach out if you want to get sober or need help or need someone to talk to about these things, because it's serious. Like, this stuff is just killing people, and I wish there was a way to stop it. But that's all I have for today, and if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it.